What's going on? I'm Spencer Tillis.
I'm Angela Santoro.
I'm Trayvon Miles.
And this, of course, is the Delmarva Sports Insider. Coming up in just a bit in today's episode. Smyrna was looking to punch their ticket to the first ever state championship game for the program as they squared off against William Penn, and wait till you see these highlights.
And the Wesley football team looked to keep their playoff run going. Find out if they got the win today on the road. Coming up in just a bit.
And on with the Hawks, UMES men's basketball in their home opener. Also looking to get that first win of the year. Fly with me.
But first, I like that, by the way. First, we have to take to the game that everyone was really talking about here in Maryland. Our last high school football team remaining, North Carolina, undefeated on the year. The Bulldogs, what a run they were going on into this thing. In the first ever state semifinals games for the program, that was Friday night, looking to keep that undefeated season alive, and they were squaring off against Walkersville. And the Lions may have been the road team, but they are making themselves a right at home early on in this thing. Billy Gant finds Chad Gleason right there down the left sideline, and that is good for the first score of the game as they jumped out to 7-0. Back come the Dogs, though. Tay Potts follows his blockers, breaks the plane for the touchdown. The point after, however, would be blocked, so they still trailed by 1. North Carolina's defense, though, made some plays. Ball on the ground, and Connor McCormick, the coach's kid, jumps on it, and we are headed the other way. That would lead to this, a short touchdown run by the senior Kenny Jackson, getting it on the sweep. They would go for 2. That would be no good, bringing our score to 12-7 in favor of the Bulldogs. North Carolina looking for more just before half, and this is the one thing you can't let happen. Jacob Witzel comes up with a huge interception, and he takes it all the way back with just seconds left in the half. That was a pick six. Huge momentum swing as the Lions took a 14-12 lead into the locker room. Second half, Walkersville going for it on a big third down, but David Bailey coming back in and making a huge play right there. Gets the sack, playing with a hurt foot in this thing. And then another big play for the defense right here. Ball's on the ground yet again in the Simon Shane Sharf, a DSI legend. He is there to pick it up, and he brings it all the way back to midfield. North Carolina in business, and they would go straight to work. Cameron Bird finds Jackson out of the backfield, and this is good for a nice gain all the way down to the 5-yard line. The drive would stall, however, though, so they would settle for a field goal attempt. It gets banged through by Bird from 27 yards out. Bulldogs take a 1-point lead with just 4:38 left in the game, but they gave too much time to the Lions. Gleason scrambling, picks up a small line right there, but the big damage was done by a face mask penalty, 15 yards. That set up this 23-yard field goal attempt with 6 seconds left, and it is heartbreak in Ridgely. The dream season comes to an end as North Carolina falls in the state semifinals. 17-15, still what a tremendous season for the Dogs.
Hey, look, you know, our guys played their tails off. They did everything we asked them to do. They took not just me, the other coaches, but this whole community on a ride. I'm proud of them. I love them to death. And, you know, I wish we'd have got a couple more points. But, you know, what are you going to say at this point?
He absolutely said it right. He did take that community on a ride, and really all of us as we were following this season. I mean, what a heartbreaking loss for this team. They had such a great run going into that point. I mean, it looked like it was there for the takings. That field goal at the end, it felt like it was going to be their opportunity to get the win in this thing. Unfortunately, I mean, that's just the way it works out sometimes. Could not quite pull it out, but I tell you what, still a great season. A lot of young guys in this team. They're going to be back next year. I mean, I know they don't want to hear that right now, but it was a very, great season for them. They had never even won a playoff game before this year. They made it all the way to the state semifinals. That close.
12-0.
So, I mean, they got a lot to hang their hats on right now.
Yeah, and that's what Coach McCormick was actually saying yesterday, just the fact that they're not going to focus on the history right now. It's not going to settle in for probably just like a couple more months, but something that they'll be able to look back and reflect on later on. Well, over in the first state high school football playoffs continued today as well. Smyrna looked to keep their state title hopes alive against William Penn. And I like to say, guys, is Will Knight.
Been saying it all year.
Well, they would take an early 6-0 lead in the first quarter. Second quarter now, Camo Floyd finds a way to sweep to the right, and he would get in there. There'd be a questionable holding call in the backfield. No call, though, and Floyd would make it to the end zone to make it 13-zip. Then later in the quarter, Penn's back for more. Daniel Johnson goes deep to Chico Ziramamachi. Check out that name. He comes down with it. But he does not have possession, and the ref rules it an incomplete pass, luckily for the Eagles. They're looking for a stop. Josh Hutchinson makes a huge play for the defense, and that would be a big play there for the Eagles. And here comes Smyrna, 40 seconds left in the half. Nolan Henderson sails it deep to Jared Gillis. He just misses it, but Henderson would go down with a late hit on that one. He would leave the game with an injury, not return. So it was up to the myth, the man, the legend, Will Knight. He broke loose down the left sideline. The very next play, Knight dabs on him for the first Eagles touchdown of the game to make it 13-6 at half, and they are pumped. Now, just a few minutes into the third quarter, Knight, well, he was just starting to warm up the Wildcat formation. He's back at QB. He attacks the gap, and check out this sophomore. He takes it all the way back, 98 yards to the end zone. Just an incredible play for the Eagles, a huge momentum swing. They would take a 14-13 lead and a 2-point conversion from Knight as well, but he wasn't done. Later in the third quarter, Knight fights his way into the end zone to extend their lead, 22-13. Of course, with another 2-point conversion, he would actually have another touchdown on this one as Smyrna is headed to the state championship game for the first time next week against Salesianum. And you guys, this team, all I have to say is that they're absolutely resilient. They were down 13-0 early on in the game. You could see frustrations were starting to surface. They're not used to not scoring points on offense, and they're not used to being down like that. Well, then what happens? Their quarterback goes down, and he does not return. He had to actually leave on a stretcher, which was a very scary moment for everybody, and you could just see that Will Knight was just staring at him with these eyes like he knew what he had to do, and he had to do it for his brother, and that's what they did. They rallied for each other, and you guys, 4 touchdowns for the sophomore. This kid put his team on his back, and I'm telling you, he might have been a little bit out of breath when he got into that end zone. But everything was worth it for them, and I'm so excited for them next week.
He's been doing it all year long.
I know.
You know what I mean? The only thing we talk about when we talk about Smyrna and their offense, a lot of times is Will Knight. Nolan Henderson as well, but Will Knight and just how he's been willing that team. Surprising that they didn't score points in the first couple of minutes. And I was looking on Twitter, wondering what was going on, and I saw Henderson go down. I said, man, I don't know, but you can never, ever count that sophomore out. That's one guy.
One guy can carry a team.
Want to count out, and you don't want to count this team either. Probably the surprise team of the year in the Henle Open. How about Woodbridge playing Cinderella? Got the 7th seed upset last week. Today tried their hand against 1-seeded St. George's, and the Hawks were hosting in their home grays. Woodbridge in the white, and St. G's, well, they went to work pretty early as the 1 seed. First play from scrimmage, Gary Brightwell with some nice moves. 79 yards later, to the house he is in. St. George's takes the lead, and Woodbridge playing from behind seconds after kickoff. Minutes later, St. George's quarterback Tordell Kemp gets hit by Garrett Temple. Ball picked off by Jalen McGee, and Woodbridge is back in business. 4th and 15 now for Woodbridge. Troy Haynes, the freshman lefty.
Nice
Bragg
catch.
Davis, when you got a name like Bragg, it's only right that you get up and pound your chest. 24-yard touchdown. Next drive here, the freshman Haynes again. Perfect over-the-shoulder pass to Davis for a 45-yard pickup down to the 5, and then Woodbridge will punch it in here. Kirby Williams off the right side with a second effort, and the Woodbridge, Blue Raiders up 14-7 at half, looking like they were going to take the upset as I thought they were this afternoon. But the second half, Brightwell again from 2 yards out for St. George's. That kid it's going to be a reason he's going to make an all-state team. Ridiculous run right here next by Brightwell, breaking 3 tackles, and from 19 yards out. You can see this kid is just a monster.
Unbelievable.
He is an unbelievable player, and he would put the game away right here with another touchdown. Woodbridge, nothing to hold their heads on, though. They lose this game 33-14.
Yeah, you know, they work hard, you know, and they follow the game plan, and, you know, that's why they're here. So, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, it had to end this way, but, you know, it's good for our younger guys to see, you know, to work hard and get back so we can get back here this time next year.
Yeah, guys, and honestly, who can say they expected Woodbridge to go that far? I'm not going to say anything to you guys, but some people didn't even have Woodbridge in their rankings a little later on in the season. I'm going to let you guys debate who that was. We'll maybe go back
different.
on
How's
the
it
internet.
feel, you know, reading someone else's, because normally you don't get that opportunity.
We'll go back on the internet. Yeah, exactly. So I got to get you guys back. But Coach Manlove and his staff put together an absolutely marvelous season. They had the tiniest running backs I've seen all year this year in the backfield.
Ridiculous.
And then what happened was their quarterback got hurt, Holden. So freshman Haynes stepped in there, and he played great the whole year. All you saw all year was just like the highlights, that lefty arm just going up in the air and the ball just coming right over the defender's shoulder. He played great all year. They're a young team, 20 freshmen when you did your preview on Woodbridge earlier this year. And the way they played all year long is just
defense this year was
unstoppable. They played a great year.
Well, it's time for our first commercial break, but coming up on the other side, we're actually going to take it to the next level. We're going to go across the bridge where Wesley was taking on Johns Hopkins in the D3 playoffs. We'll show you how they got it done.
Nolan Henderson, quarterback, Smyrna High School. You're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.